Don't skip every day. Millions of us wake up and put on a mask, not to protect ourselves from the outside world, but to hide who we truly are. We smile, nod, and say yes to things that drain us. With every compromise, we lose a little piece of ourselves. This silent struggle is all too familiar, the urge to please everyone but ourselves. We crave approval, validation, and connection, often at the cost of our own peace and self-worth. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers known as the Stoics discovered a powerful way to break free from this cycle? Today, I'm going to share how embracing Stoic principles can transform the way you see yourself and interact with the world. This isn't just about learning to say no. It's about uncovering a deep strength within you that you might have forgotten was there. Stick with me as we explore these timeless lessons, and you might just find the key to a more authentic, fulfilling life. If you find this helpful and want to support what we're doing, a simple favor: hit the subscribe button. Also, stay with me throughout this entire piece to get the most from these transformative insights. Let's get started. Stoicism, a path to freedom from people-pleasing. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies a simple but profound idea. True freedom begins within. The Stoics teach us to turn inward, to reflect on our deepest motivations and desires. When it comes to people-pleasing, the Stoics would encourage us to ask ourselves some tough questions. Why do I feel the need to always say yes? Is it because I'm seeking approval? Or am I afraid of being alone or rejected? The Stoics understood that our fears often drive us to act in ways that aren't true to ourselves. They also realized that these external validations, whether it's approval from others or fear of their disapproval, are fleeting and out of our control. This is why they urged us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. The root cause: fear and the desire for approval. One of the primary reasons we engage in people-pleasing behaviors is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, or fear of losing connection with others. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, taught us that fear arises from a misunderstanding of what we can control. According to Epictetus, we cannot control what others think or how they behave. What we can control, however, is our own response to those external pressures. This wisdom leads us to one of the most important Stoic lessons. It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When we seek approval from others, we are giving them power over us. We allow their judgments to dictate how we feel about ourselves. Stoicism teaches us to detach our self-worth from external validation, to recognize that we are enough as we are, independent of the opinions of others. The fear of rejection can often feel overwhelming, but Stoicism teaches us to confront this fear head-on. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Rejection is not a failure. It is an opportunity to practice virtue." When we stop allowing the fear of rejection to control our actions, we regain the freedom to live according to our own principles. Instead of reacting to what others might think, we act in alignment with our values and priorities. The practice of saying no. Setting boundaries. Learning to say no is one of the most crucial aspects of overcoming people-pleasing tendencies. But it's not just about rejecting requests from others, it's about setting clear boundaries that align with your values and priorities. Seneca, in his writings, advises us to be selective in your actions and conscious of the time you spend on others. He emphasizes the importance of not squandering time on things or people that don't contribute meaningfully to your life. Saying no isn't just a way to protect your time, it's a way to protect your energy, your peace, and your sense of self. The Stoics believed that the greatest wealth is not in material possessions, but in how we spend our time. By saying no to requests or behaviors that don't align with our values, we are taking control of our most precious resource, our time. It's through this practice of setting boundaries that we begin to shape a life that is truly our own. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote extensively about the importance of time management, urging us to be mindful of how we use our time, as it is a finite resource. When we focus on what truly matters, saying no becomes an act of self-respect. We honor ourselves by acknowledging that our time and energy are valuable. Developing inner strength and self-respect. At the core of Stoic thought is the idea that our true strength lies within. This strength is rooted in our ability to align our actions with our values, rather than being swayed by the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you constantly seek approval from others, you are living in a state of dependence on external forces. But when you learn to base your self-worth on your own principles, you develop a kind of inner freedom that makes you immune to the whims of others." The Stoics understood that true freedom comes not from the absence of external challenges, but from the ability to remain steadfast in our inner convictions. When we stop seeking validation, we begin to cultivate self-respect. We start acting in ways that reflect who we truly are, not who we think others want us to be. This isn't arrogance, it's the Stoic commitment to living authentically and in accordance with reason. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius also reminds us, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoic challenge is not to debate what it means to be virtuous, but to embody those virtues in everyday life. When we live with integrity, we find the strength to stop pleasing others at the expense of our own well-being. We recognize that true self-respect is found in honoring our values, not in constantly seeking approval from others. The power of reflection and self-awareness. A key practice in Stoicism is reflection, taking time each day to examine our thoughts, actions, and reactions. This process allows us to identify when we're falling into old habits, like people-pleasing, and to course-correct. The Stoics would often write down their thoughts or meditate on their day to ensure they were living in line with their values. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote in his Meditations, "I am not disturbed by things, but by the view I take of them." This powerful insight can be applied directly to people-pleasing behaviors. When we find ourselves saying yes out of fear or desire for approval, reflection gives us the opportunity to examine why we are acting this way. By understanding the root of our behaviors, we can begin to change them. Self-awareness is the first step toward breaking free from people-pleasing. The more we understand the underlying fears or insecurities that drive us, the easier it becomes to make conscious choices that align with our true selves. The role of virtue. Living with integrity. For the Stoics, virtue was the highest good. Virtue in the Stoic sense means living in accordance with reason and acting in ways that are morally good. When you focus on living virtuously, your decisions are not influenced by the desire to please others or to avoid discomfort. Instead, you act according to your principles. This means that when you are asked to do something that conflicts with your values, the Stoic response would be to refuse, not out of rebellion, but out of commitment to integrity. By prioritizing your virtues, you become less concerned with what others think and more concerned with what is right for you. Epictetus teaches us that true freedom lies in the ability to act according to our own nature, not in the validation of others. By focusing on our virtues, courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance, we become less attached to external approval and more aligned with our own sense of purpose. Letting go of the fear of rejection. A major obstacle in overcoming people-pleasing is the fear of rejection. Stoicism teaches that rejection from others does not define us. In fact, rejection can be a powerful tool for growth. Seneca writes, "Rejection is not an end. It is an opportunity to practice virtue." When we are rejected, we learn to detach from the need for approval, and we become more resilient in the face of challenges. Instead of fearing rejection, we can view it as a natural part of life, something that does not diminish our value or worth. By embracing the Stoic idea that external events are beyond our control, we free ourselves from the need to please everyone. We are no longer bound by the fear of rejection, but instead, we choose to live according to our own values. Conclusion: embracing your true self. As we've seen, Stoicism offers powerful tools for overcoming people-pleasing tendencies. It teaches us to look inward, to question our fears, and to align our actions with our values. By practicing these principles, we can break free from the cycle of seeking approval and living for others.